Lovely to meet you across. We met very briefly during Lunchbox.
Acha,
But us time there was a lot of,
I know.
back and forth happening. But breaking beyond boundaries with Oppo, you're somebody who has gone beyond boundaries. So it kind of resonated with you.
Yes, it deeply resonated with me. I think that's the reason to partner with Oppo, and I think they're at the core of the campaign. The idea was to push boundaries, to encourage young people across across India to be able to dream, to be able to witness something which lies ahead of us. So I think that is something that deeply resonated with me and my journey. I think the idea was to take this journey to a larger set of audiences, and that's where it all started.
And your journey has been pretty interesting. So before, we'll talk about that. But also, do I see you producing any of your next ventures on Oppo?
Why not? I would say.
But your journey is extremely interesting. So I was watching one of your interviews where you said you've shot a Mata Ka Jagrata, you have been a DJ. I mean, it's just so interesting, and how being the youngest producer was actually not a positive. It actually worked against you because nobody would want to take you seriously. So tell us a bit about this. Yeah, it's very interesting.
I think being very young is like there is ageism that happens. It's just you kind of experience discrimination because of age. ये तो young है उसको क्या पता होगा. They would not know enough. But the times are changing so fast. Tech is changing so fast. There's so much power moving with the youth. I mean, today I would say that everybody has a smartphone in their hand, and they are making content. They are pushing themselves out there. They're again pushing boundaries, and I would say that the power is shifting. But yes, a decade and a half ago when I did start, it was a lot of challenge of just being taken seriously in the room. To be able to just say that, okay, how much can I be heard, or is that even a possibility?
And also, apart from age, do you ever feel that gender also is a problem? Because now you see a lot of female writers and filmmakers and producers coming on board, but you were one of the first ones.
Yes, I was very young and also very early. In terms of filmmakers, I would still say we have a long way to go. I think less than 5% of India's box office or years of films every year that come out are women creators. You can literally touch them you can really count them on fingertips. But I think in terms of directors, we should double down on more women creators. But yes, there is a collective conversation of calling out any gender bias, and making it, pushing for more equality.
But what is that one change that you've seen for the positive? Because we have female narratives. I mean, the female actors say that we are waiting for a time when the budget of a female-oriented film would be equivalent to a male, what about the top star-driven film? Because apparently the budget is equivalent to the top actors' remuneration for a movie.
I think now is the time. I think now is the time, with the increase in OTT, with the increase in more players in the market, with increase of more viewership. I mean, the lockdown has also forced a large viewership on the OTT platforms. And that's where I think the boundaries will be, pushed further of content and storytelling, because then you're not dependent on a traditional flow of revenue, which is through theatrical. So that kind of pipeline is challenged right now. And again, with this advancement, I do feel with Netflix, Amazon, with YouTube growing 500%, with just this being our reality, I think this is an opportunity for more content and for more storylines. And I think it's time. It's about time when, if you look at most of the OTT content, it is headlined by women, and it is celebrated by women. And when you see movies of huge budget being put out there now, times are changing.
And do you see the star system also turning on its head?
I actually think an infusement of new stars will happen. I think there will be a large expansion and a pool of young people becoming more bankable stars and actors, who can carry a whole film. I think a lot of young talent being found across India, which has now become a huge other growth, which is digital stars. I see them cross pollinating, and I just think that it's going to democratize, you know.
And something interesting one of the stars told me is like सब actor बनना चाहते हैं मगर ऐसा क्यों नहीं है कि लोग आए और कहें मैं producer बनना चाहता हूँ.
That's true, actually. I think producer is a mix of being a startup. It's like being every film is like you have to set up your own company. Every film is like you have to think through revenue models, make those business plans. It is kind of out of, I think, comfort zone also for many. But producer is not just the person who puts the money. Producer is somebody who finds the story, who will go find the best talent for it, the best director for it, will put it out in the world in the best possible way and find its audiences. Where is the best suited narrative, like we spoke about Lunchbox. So Lunchbox was something that went to a global audiences, or even Gangs of Wasseypur premiering at Cannes, or even Monsoon Shootout premiering at Cannes, Masaan. So I think years of these narratives being pushed, being breaking open the usual traditional line. So I think a producer needs to figure all those out, and it is a lot of work. But yeah, a lot of actors do turn producers because they can impact more stories, they can allow to tell more stories. But I definitely believe that India does need more producers, and more creative producers, and more producers who will push the limit of storytelling, push the limit of business and audiences.
And one thing interesting about you is you're such a driven producer. Again, in that interview that I was listening to, apparently tracked Martin Scorsese's home down, banged on the door to give him a DVD of Gangs of Wasseypur. I mean, I was so intrigued. और आपने क्या क्या किया है? Please tell me a few of these stories. It's going to encourage everybody to be so driven that it doesn't matter if you cross the line of social nicety.
Of course, I think you have to always cross. You have to. I think we limit ourselves. We just think that this is not possible. The minute you unplug that, so I think I'll share a couple of examples. The first film that I produced when I was 21 years old, it was called Salam India. It released the week India lost the World Cup.
Oh God!
And it was a children cricket film, but a really traditional children cricket film, which underdog winning, celebrating in the end, that narrative, that storytelling. Really very well made film directed by Subhash Kapoor. But the theatrical system almost was like, we don't want anything cricket. हमारे ना सिनेमा जल जाएंगे अगर कोई अभी क्रिकेट की बात भी कर ली. So we don't want anything which is related to cricket at this point of time. So I just didn't know what to do. Your entire revenue chain is collapsed, and उस time पर print बनते थे फिल्मों के, and we were supposed to take that to cinemas, I mean through the distribution chain, and they were all back with our distributor, and nobody really wanted to watch the movie. So I actually ended up going to my school in Delhi and saying that, would you please give me 50 rupees a kid, and I will privately book a cinema. I went to Sapna Cinema in Delhi, and I said, सुबह के शो के लिए कितने पैसे? They said, हम लोग 5-7 हजार कमा लेते हैं. And I said, मैं आपको 10,000 दूंगी. आप मुझे सुबह 9 से 12 के लिए अपना सिनेमा दे दो. So they agreed. So, and it was a 1,000-seater. So 1,000 kids at 50 rupees each, that was 50,000, came on the school buses. I booked a day, and they came from my school in Bluebells, and they loved the film. And 10,000 was the cinema wala guy, and 40,000 was my share. And that was the first show that I did. And then I went on to then do DPS Arkipuram and tied up with Sangam, and went on to do some 300 shows like this from Delhi, Sonipat, Panipat, Chandigarh. And that is really, pushing the boundary of business, of reaching out to your audiences directly, because you hope one kid will sell 3 tickets and bring their parents and watch a movie. But if that is not happening, then you go to the kids directly. So that was, something that I did when I was 21, 22 years old with my first movie. And when I did put together those 300 shows, I made all the money back. I also sold the interval to brands, and I said, "Chalo, interval for 15 minutes, why not?" And you can do sampling with target audience there. So it's all about, I think somewhere, to push yourself to, to really like think about it, on what can be possible, because it's really, the possibilities are infinite, so when another example, another story that I can share, it's a really fun story. One of the first short films that I produced was nominated for an Oscar, called Kavi, in 2020. And it was in the top 5. हम जीते नहीं थे, हम जीते बहुत साल बाद for a documentary period end of sentence. But 2010 में मैं पहली बार अकेडमी अटेंड करने गई थी ऑस्कर्स के लिए, and it was a short film called Kavi, and it was against slavery. So it was an anti-slavery short film. And usual red carpet, you go in and you watch the award ceremony like any other awards. But we really just wanted to make that point and make it count. So we started doing blue ribbons at the red carpet. And we started tying blue ribbons to everyone. And we said, "Hello, would you please support this? Can we please start a movement from this day?" And when you see 2010 Academy Awards, you'll see so many people wearing those little blue ribbons. Oh, wow. And it was me at the red carpet tying it. So, there are all these things of what do we need to make our piece of content count? What do we need to do? Yeah.
From gate crashing Quentin Tarantino, Karan Johar's dinner, to Martin Scorsese, which was the one that you were most nervous about, or you said, "Karu ya na karu, chalo kar leti"?
I think it was Scorsese. Of course, it was ringing the bell in his house. But I was introduced by a friend, and somebody did call the house and say that a friend will just come by, drop by a DVD, and so it was not a clear gate crash. What the gate crash was, of course, Tarantino's Breakfast in Venice. I was like, "I'm a huge fan. Do you think I can just come? You're eating alone." So, yeah, I mean, but film festivals is a magical time. It is, that's where you really meet the best in the world, and you celebrate your own films being one of them, selected in the festivals. So yeah, I think it's been constantly, the journey has constantly been putting India on the map, and that is what has, I think over a decade even resonated,
It's awesome because as you said, Anurag Kashyap was like a school for you. Then you started your own production, Sikkia. So, what is now your USP? What do you carry forth? And, because you and Anurag produce some fantastic films.
Yes, it has been, I went to school working for Anurag, and 5 years working for him has been an amazing experience, full of ups and downs, but overall a huge learning, I think Sikhya now, our next movie is Suryarai Potru. It is a Tamil film on life of Captain Gopinath. And, again, I think being an independent production house from India, telling Indian stories for the whole world is what our core is. But I'm fascinated by the whole country. And so my next film is actually a massive Tamil film. And I'm so excited about it. It's coming on 30th of October on Amazon Prime. And it's again, pushing the boundaries and trying again something very new. So that is a story of Captain Gopinath, who founded Air Deccan. And then I have another one called Paglet, which is with Sanya Malhotra. And that is coming of age of a young widow. So yeah, so it's I think it's very intuitive, the stories that you pick. But I would say at Sikhya, we are doing a lot of documentaries. We are doing a lot of, we just did an audio show called Jab We Sex, a literally sex 101 education for Audible. So I think every piece of narrative does find its own platform. And to be able to tell that to a larger piece of audiences is something that I'm fascinated about. So we take pride in the hustle. We take pride in our outreach. And I think that is also something, because I really loved what Oppo has been trying to do, because it really took my story to a very large number of audiences, and it is just so beautifully resonated. So yeah.
Honestly, and for somebody, the Oscars just seem to be like home now, second home. You're perpetually there. यहाँ पर बहुत वो obsession होता है, हमारी पिक्चरें क्यों नहीं जाती हैं? Why can't they make it? And Mr. Bachchan, on the other hand, said, why are we so consumed with a Hollywood award? What would you want to say? What is the reason, firstly, that India does not make the cut? It reaches, and then कभी-कभी finance नहीं होता है, or maybe our movies are too long. What is your, how do you see it?
I mean, I'm now a part of the academy, so I'm a member. Which there are a lot of amazing Indians as a part of the member. It is extremely encouraging for our careers, for our movies, for a global audience, and for validation to come from one of the biggest awards in the world. So yes, it is extremely significant to be nominated, and it's like a moment in life to even attend. So ऐसा नहीं है कि रोज है, but definitely it's a huge award function. And I think a lot of Indian films do miss out, because at the core we need to understand how does this entire thing work, so you first need an American distributor to do the campaign, to release it there, to get, and when I mean, the whole marketing, the whole championing the piece of content, anything, a short, a documentary, or a feature, you need people there to sample it. It just cannot be limited to the diaspora. So the minute we realize that, that we need a solid US distributor as our partner, we look at co-productions or we look at a US distribution. That is when our stories can translate into a larger award base. And then not just Academy, there are many more awards. But that is something which is really important. And I think Lunchbox had that opportunity, but India did not nominate it. So it had Sony Picture Classic as a distributor there. And then that would have led to a solid step forward. So I think that is really important to understand at the core of it, that who is distributing this movie in US and how is it being sampled by a large base of US, so they know. And it is not just another foreign language film that is missed out.
What was your starstruck moment at the Oscars, since you keep visiting and will be visiting, being one of the, again, the youngest producers to be part of the Academy?
Bradley Cooper.
And the Indians, yeah.
I think this year was Bradley Cooper. Last year, I didn't attend this year, but last year when Period End of Sentence was there. So I think meeting Bradley Cooper at the parking was just my highlight. No one's asked me that, and I've not shared that with anyone.
Oh, hi Bradley.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah. Awesome. And also what's interesting is you made the documentary Period, and now there is a whole lot of discourse on, period leave, and some women unable to, because I hope we get few more documentaries like that to have this. Do you think now the consumption of documentaries is also rising because Indian matchmaking, short films have come of age?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, this really is taking tech forward. This really is talking about the emergence of technology. And I think, again, the lockdown has forced even a generation older to us and even our parents to watch like other language content, on Netflix, on Amazon. So I think it has really cracked that open. Or if you look at a documentary series like Last Dance, or of course Indian matchmaking, it's hit it out of broken the glass ceiling of putting a brown content on a global map. And documentaries are very interesting. They're actually like, and especially Indian matchmaking, I would say, because it's like a follow doc. It's more observatory to see where it goes. I think, again, short form content, short films, which have also led to discovering a lot of young talent, and again letting them push their storytelling, their narratives, their talent out there, putting it out there. So short films being consumed a lot. It's also called, the new term is like snackable content, which is on the go. People see it on the, on the high-end phones. And I mean, it is. I would say that there is. This is a very good time for storytelling, for content. And I actually took a workshop with students, young students in a college, and also recently online. And I was telling them, firstly, know that you can actually you can actually put a story, know what this best format of telling the story. Now it is not just feature film banate hain ya short film banate hain, it's also a short documentary. It's also can be a audio show. It can be a podcast. It can be series. It can be, what are you trying to say, and how long is the story, what are the legs. So that kind of, again, is pushing our knowledge base more, is pushing our horizons, and pushing our accessibility. And something that I really want to say, that even the success of our Oppo campaign, I mean, yesterday I saw it was 43 million people who have watched it, and it's long format of advertising, and it's really even pushing the boundaries of within advertising, because it is a long format storytelling, and it is a real story, told and taken to a global audience. It is very encouraging to see this kind of love come in, which is, and I think advertising also has come of age, where we've gone from pushing insecurities and putting women behind. It's now focusing and highlighting a journey and taking it across. So I think it has been a very fulfilling experience.
And lastly, what would be who would star in your ideal production, since you are on both sides of the continent? There is the US, then you have India, and you're part of the Oscars, you're part of the productions here. Who would you want to star in your next production?
Of course, Priyanka Chopra. I'm a huge Priyanka Chopra fan, and I think she's somebody who has, again, crossed continents and put our talent out there. And she, the way she puts her viewpoint or speaks her mind out, I think it's always been something which is to look up to, and she's extremely encouraging and supportive. So I will have to be Priyanka Chopra, and I would love to.
And amongst the guys, anybody who's made the cut? Because I know Priyanka is like a force to reckon with.
My favorite actor, and I've done a movie with him, is actually Imran Hashmi. And I did a movie called Tiger.
Yeah, okay.
And I think he's just somebody who's so gifted and such a wonderful actor. Yes, of course, Vicky Kaushal, who's a friend, who's a lovely, amazing talent. I mean, I think Vicky will do amazing things, and that will resonate deeply. I mean, started with Masaan, Zubaan, just so yeah. But in the bigger actors, my heart is with Imran, and I think he's somebody who will be doing. He's just somebody I've worked with so closely, and I just know that it's just waiting to happen something amazing with him.
Thank you so much. Lovely speaking to you, Guneet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pooja, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja.